I'll be honest with you. There are days I don't like leaving the house, and maybe you feel the same way. Society often tells us that if you'd rather stay in, something must be wrong with you. You're antisocial, you're avoiding life, you're weak. But here's the truth. Choosing to stay home doesn't mean you're running away from the world. It can mean you're protecting your energy, setting boundaries, and living on your own terms. Today, I want to share with you 6 truths about people who prefer staying at home, the kind of truths that will make you rethink what strength and independence really look like. When people hear someone say they prefer to stay home, the immediate assumption is that it's a sign of weakness, fear, or avoidance. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, social calendars filled to the brim, and the idea that the more visible you are, the more valuable you become. But here's the truth, staying home can be the most powerful decision you make. It's not about retreating from life, it's about taking control of it. When you decide to stay home, you are exercising choice. You're not letting external expectations dictate your behavior. You're not allowing pressure from society, friends, or even family to push you into situations that drain you or distract you from what matters. That is not weakness, that is strength. Power begins with self-awareness, and if you know that your energy is better spent protecting your space, then choosing home is a declaration of authority over your own life. Think about it. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you are saying no to yourself. You're abandoning your own needs in exchange for temporary approval from others. That's not power. That's giving your strength away. But when you decide, no, I'd rather stay home tonight, you're reclaiming your authority. You're sending a message to yourself that your peace matters more than pleasing others. And let's be honest, that takes courage. It's far easier to go along with the crowd, to push yourself into social settings just because it's expected. What's harder is to face the criticism, the misunderstandings, or even the subtle judgment that comes when you choose differently. Strength is standing in that space, firm and unapologetic. When you look at people who are truly confident and in control of their lives, they are not constantly seeking outside validation. They don't need to be everywhere, seen by everyone, or constantly available. Their confidence comes from within, and that's exactly what staying home cultivates. You learn to be comfortable in your own company. You discover what restores your energy, what inspires you, what grounds you. That's the kind of internal power most people never develop because they are too busy running from one distraction to the next. It's also important to remember that staying home is not about isolation. It's about intention. There is a difference between hiding from the world and deliberately choosing when and how to engage with it. Weakness avoids, power chooses. You are not shutting people out because you fear them. You are deciding that your time, your energy, and your attention are too valuable to be wasted on environments or relationships that don't serve you. That shift in perspective transforms the act of staying home from something passive into something deeply empowering. It becomes an act of self-leadership. Every time you choose to stay home and invest that time into yourself, whether it's resting, learning, reflecting, or simply breathing, you're building reserves of strength that you carry back into the world. When you do step out, you come from a place of fullness instead of depletion. That's power, that's strength. That's knowing who you are and not apologizing for it. Protecting your peace is one of the most valuable choices you can ever make because peace is not something the world is going to hand you freely. Every day you wake up, life pulls at you from every direction. Work demands your attention, family needs your presence, friends expect your time, and society constantly feeds you the idea that you should always be doing more. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself giving away every ounce of energy until there's nothing left for yourself. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's survival, it's strength, it's wisdom. The people who appear calm, centered, and in control are not simply lucky. They guard their inner world with the same intensity that others guard their possessions. They understand that peace is priceless and that once it's gone, chaos takes over. The truth is, many people confuse being available with being valuable. They think saying yes to everyone is what makes them a good person, a good friend, a good partner. But in reality, constantly saying yes when you mean no is one of the fastest ways to lose yourself. You're left drained, resentful, and frustrated because you've given away your energy without receiving anything in return. Protecting your peace requires you to start recognizing the cost of those choices. When you agree to things you don't want to do, when you let toxic conversations into your space, when you entertain drama or negativity, you are making withdrawals from your peace account, and sooner or later, the balance runs out. That's when burnout sets in. That's when anxiety takes over. That's when you begin to feel like life is happening to you instead of being directed by you. Protecting your peace means you establish boundaries without apology. You begin to filter the people and situations you allow into your space, not because you don't care, but because you do. You care about your mental clarity. You care about your emotional well-being. You care about keeping yourself strong enough to show up fully when it actually matters. And here's the hard truth: not everyone will like your boundaries. Some people will resist them, some will test them, and others will even try to guilt you for having them. But that's exactly why protecting your peace is so valuable, because peace will never be given to you by people who benefit from your chaos. You have to choose it, defend it, and prioritize it even when it makes others uncomfortable. The irony is that the moment you begin protecting your peace, you become more powerful in every area of life. You think more clearly, you act more decisively, and you respond instead of react. You stop being controlled by outside forces because your inner world is stable. Imagine walking into a stressful situation, but remaining unshaken because you've built a foundation of calm within yourself. That's what happens when you treat your peace like the treasure it is. People who protect their peace don't crumble under pressure. They don't allow someone else's storm to destroy their stability. They become unmovable not because life is easy, but because they have chosen what they allow into their mind and heart. In the end, protecting your peace is about understanding that your energy is limited and precious. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to attend every event or explain yourself every time you say no. You get to choose where your energy goes, and by doing so, you elevate your life. Protecting your peace is not about closing yourself off from the world. It's about showing up in the world as the strongest, clearest, and most resilient version of yourself. Spending time alone is one of the most underestimated ways to build strength, clarity, and resilience. In a world that constantly tells you to be connected, to keep up, to always be visible and available, choosing solitude can feel uncomfortable at first, but being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness comes from a sense of lack, from feeling cut off from others. Solitude, on the other hand, is a choice. It is intentional, it is powerful, and it creates the space for you to reconnect with yourself in ways you cannot do when you are surrounded by noise. Alone time sharpens your awareness. It strips away distractions and gives you the opportunity to listen to your own thoughts without outside interference. Most people don't realize how much of their identity is shaped by the voices and expectations around them. When you spend too much time absorbing everyone else's opinions, you lose sight of your own. Alone time gives you that clarity back. When you are comfortable being by yourself, you develop focus that is difficult to shake. Distractions lose their grip because you've trained your mind to settle into stillness. Instead of chasing constant stimulation, you learn how to generate peace and productivity from within. That focus allows you to cut through the noise of life and stay aligned with what truly matters to you. People who spend time alone are often the ones who come up with the most original ideas and make the boldest moves, because they have learned how to trust their own voice rather than drowning in the chorus of everyone else's. Solitude creates a mental space where creativity thrives, where new solutions emerge, and where your inner compass becomes stronger and clearer. Resilience is also built in moments of solitude. When you are alone, you face yourself without distraction. You learn how to sit with discomfort, how to manage your emotions, how to process challenges without immediately seeking escape in other people or external validation. This is not easy. It requires discipline and honesty. But it is exactly this process that makes you stronger. Life is unpredictable, and you cannot always rely on others to carry you through. The more time you spend strengthening your inner world, the more prepared you are to face whatever storms come your way. Solitude forces you to tap into your own resourcefulness, to find solutions, and to build emotional muscle that can withstand pressure. There is also a deep kind of confidence that comes from being comfortable in your own company. When you can sit in silence and not feel the need to fill the space with chatter, when you can enjoy a night at home without feeling restless or incomplete, you realize you are enough as you are. That realization changes the way you interact with the world. You stop clinging to people out of fear of being alone. You stop tolerating relationships or environments that drain you because you no longer see solitude as something to avoid, but as something that empowers you. Alone time becomes your sanctuary, the place you return to in order to recharge and realign with your purpose. Too many people fill their lives with noise and activity because they are afraid of what silence might reveal. But those who embrace solitude gain an advantage. They become more self-aware, more disciplined, and more resilient. They are not easily swayed by trends, gossip, or external pressures because they have learned how to stand firmly in themselves. Alone time is not wasted time. It is training, it is preparation, it is the foundation of inner strength. When you can master being alone, you step into the world with a clarity and resilience that cannot be shaken by circumstance or opinion. Boundaries are one of the clearest indicators of strength because they are the lines you draw to define how you expect to be treated and how you choose to engage with others. Without boundaries, you become a sponge for other people's needs, demands, and emotions. You carry weight that doesn't belong to you, and you allow your peace to be interrupted every time someone else decides they want your attention or energy. Boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are doors with locks, opened intentionally when someone has earned access. The ability to set boundaries is directly tied to the level of respect you command in your relationships, both from yourself and from others. If you fail to set them, you communicate, often without realizing it, that your time and energy are available for anyone at any moment without limit, and when you allow that, resentment builds, exhaustion sets in. You start to feel unseen and undervalued because you've given away the very thing you were supposed to protect. Boundaries teach others how to treat you. When you say, "This is what I will accept and this is what I will not," you create clarity in your interactions. People may resist, especially if they have grown comfortable with overstepping, but resistance is proof that boundaries are necessary. Every strong relationship, whether personal or professional, thrives on mutual respect. And respect is only possible when limits are clear. Boundaries are the framework that keeps relationships healthy, balanced, and sustainable. Without them, power becomes lopsided, and you end up carrying the burden of someone else's needs while neglecting your own. But boundaries are not just about other people, they are also about how you respect yourself. When you commit to boundaries, you are sending a message to yourself that your needs matter, your time matters, your energy matters. That self-respect becomes the standard by which others learn to interact with you. If you constantly abandon your boundaries to avoid conflict or to keep others comfortable, you reinforce the idea that your needs come second. And once that message takes root, people will take advantage of it, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unconsciously, but always at your expense. Setting boundaries is not about cruelty, it is about honesty. It is about showing up in your relationships with integrity, not pretending you are okay with things that you are not. The strength of boundaries is that they allow you to give from a place of fullness instead of depletion. When you protect your time, you recharge. When you protect your energy, you can show up more fully for the people and tasks that truly matter. Without boundaries, you spread yourself thin and your contribution weakens. With boundaries, your presence has more impact because it is deliberate, not forced. The people who truly value you will not only respect your boundaries, they will appreciate them, because it means when you do engage, you are present, clear, and committed. It's also important to remember that boundaries will be tested. Some people will push against them, not because they don't hear you, but because they are hoping you will bend. Every time you stand firm, you strengthen not only the boundary itself, but also your confidence in maintaining it. And with each moment of reinforcement, you become more resilient. Boundaries create a cycle of respect for yourself that leads to respect from others, which in turn reinforces your belief in your own worth. Living without boundaries is like leaving your front door open to anyone who passes by. Living with them is like locking that door, knowing you decide who enters, when, and under what conditions. That is not selfish. That is power, that is respect, and it begins with the boundaries you are willing to uphold. True independence is not about rebelling against the world or proving that you don't need anyone. It's about living life on your own terms with clarity and confidence. So many people go through life making choices that are shaped by outside voices. They follow paths that others expect them to take, chase goals that aren't truly theirs, and silence their own desires in order to fit into a mold. That is not independence. That is living under the weight of borrowed expectations. Real independence begins when you take ownership of your decisions, when you stop asking for permission to be yourself, and when you stop measuring your worth by how well you please others. Living on your own terms requires courage because it often means disappointing people who want you to live on theirs. Family, friends, colleagues, everyone has an idea of what you should do and who you should be. If you don't stand firm, you get pulled into their blueprint instead of building your own. Independence is choosing your blueprint. It's saying, this is who I am, this is what I value, this is the direction I'm going, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. That choice is not always easy, but it is always powerful because it allows you to live authentically. When your actions are aligned with your true self, you move through life with a kind of strength and freedom that cannot be replicated by conformity. Independence also means taking responsibility for your life. When you live on your terms, you can't hide behind excuses or blame. You accept that your happiness, your progress, and your future rest in your hands. That doesn't mean you don't value relationships or community. It means you understand that no one else can carry your life for you. Waiting for someone else to fix things, to rescue you, or to hand you direction is the opposite of independence. It leaves you powerless. Independence empowers you because it forces you to take action, to make choices, and to own both the wins and the losses along the way. That accountability makes you stronger because you know that no matter what happens, you have the ability to adjust and keep moving forward. When you live independently, you also redefine success. You stop chasing what looks good to others and start pursuing what feels right for you. Maybe your definition of success is building a business. Maybe it's raising a family. Maybe it's traveling the world or living quietly in one place. The point is that it belongs to you. Independence is not one size fits all. It is freedom to create your version of life and stand by it without apology. People may not understand your choices, but independence teaches you that their understanding is not required. What matters is your understanding of yourself and your willingness to honor it. Independence doesn't mean isolation. You can be deeply connected to others and still live independently. The difference is that you are not dependent on those connections to define you. You can love people without losing yourself in them. You can value their opinions without letting them override your own. Independence brings balance to relationships because it allows you to engage as a whole person, not as someone trying to be completed or validated by another. That balance creates healthier connections, built on mutual respect rather than neediness or control. Ultimately, true independence is freedom with responsibility, confidence without arrogance, and strength without rigidity. It is the quiet power of knowing who you are and the steady determination to live aligned with that truth every single day. It means walking into the world without asking for permission, without needing constant approval, and without betraying yourself to belong. It's not about being alone, it's about being whole. When you master that, you stop surviving by other people's rules and start thriving by your own.